Thank you for joining us today. I'm Dylan.
I'm Elle.
And we're just a couple of Gen X gals navigating life. So let's start off what's going on in our lives this week.
You're doing your dress thing this weekend.
Yes. So I believe I've talked about before, my daughter's getting married in June. And what we've decided to do, she's going to have a couple outfit changes. And
I guess this is common now.
Yes. What she's decided to do. So I have a very 80s wedding dress, and we are talking.
It's super
80s. Bejeweled, big puffy sleeves, so much fabric.
Big flouncy skirt with the princess waistline. I mean, everything about this screams 80s.
So there was no way, even though my daughter fits in my dress, that she was going to wear it. But what we've decided to do is that a friend of ours here in town is a seamstress, and she's going to deconstruct my dress and make it into something that my daughter will like. And actually, Elle volunteered to do it.
I volunteered to do it because I actually did make a wedding dress for me and then ended up giving it to somebody else to wear for their wedding dress. And I made my sister's wedding dress, which was quite cool. So I do sew. I don't sew as much anymore, and quite frankly, it kills my back. So when she said, "Oh, we found somebody else to do this," I was like, "Yay!"
Hallelujah! But she was willing to do it.
I was willing to do it
because it's going to be a lot of work.
Yes.
So what I think Miranda's going to do is she picked out a very inexpensive dress for the ceremony, but she wants to have a dress for like the pre-cocktail hour, and then like maybe for partying afterwards, because we're all staying at the casino in Lake Tahoe.
Oh, so when we shopped for dresses, this is really interesting. I went with them. And when we shopped for dresses, we went to this amazing place in downtown San Diego.
Grace loves lace.
Oh my God. These dresses were amazeballs. They were like...
And the venue was a former Mission.
Oh my God. It was so beautiful.
You felt like you were in a church. It was
huge,
so
high
awesome.
ceilings. They served us champagne.
Only let 3 brides in at a time. And we were literally maybe 20 yards away from each other. You felt like it was all there for you. They had a big stage and curtains would part. They were all too ornate for what my daughter wanted. And they were actually surprisingly, for the custom nature of these,
and the fabrics.
Affordable.
I'm a sewer. These fabrics were expensive. I mean, it's like cotton laces and silk laces and just cotton embroidered.
The most expensive dress, I think, was $8,000.
Right.
Which, when you hear, if you ever watch those bridal shows, you hear some ungodly amount.
Right. And while that was not Miranda's style at all to spend that much money, it was fun to do.
It was. And they served champagne and
right. And we even went to a consignment shop.
Yeah, we tried a lot of different things. Consignment shop, which wound up not being the bargain I would have thought.
I know. So then we ended up at like
a typical bridal store, and she found like a dress on sale that fit her. I mean, she's barely going to have it altered.
It's beautiful.
It's the simplest thing. She's going to put appliques on a veil we wound up buying in LA at the
in the garment district.
In the garment district,
which I took them to because I know my garment district.
Miranda, she was scared. She's like, "What are we doing
It's
here?
kind of a sketch area.
Is the car going to be there when we get back?" And we were just laughing. So it's been a super fun experience doing it. But she wanted to and felt guilty about my dress. I said, "Get that out of your head. I totally understand this is not your style." But you see these shows where they take a dress, deconstruct it, and it is unrecognizable, and it is so awesome,
so amazing. So and the other dress she bought, we actually bought 2 dresses the day she bought her wedding dress
the rack,
on sale, off the rack. It wasn't even remotely her size, but I just was like, "Oh, you've got to try this on." And she tried it on, and with the clips on, it's like super free people-y,
and doesn't even look wedding. It was kind of a spaghetti strap and such. But so that's going to be her cocktail
the day
hour
before,
the day
with
before.
a cowboy hat and
They're
cowboy
going to make
boots.
it a little shorter and put some, glitzy cowboy boots.
Is she shortening it up?
I think that's her plan. We're going to bring that on Saturday.
So that's
too.
also going with us on Saturday.
So we're hoping Sheila, the seamstress, is going to be able to work miracles. She certainly has enough fabric to work.
She could make 3 dresses out of your dress.
Yes.
I think.
So we'll see what it comes up with. And I'm trying to make sure my daughter doesn't understand. If this doesn't happen and it can't be something is happy to wear, then we won't do it. But I thought, let's give it a try. So this Saturday, we're going to go. And she's local here in town. So it's easy breezy. And I also like, just giving local people the
Yeah, small business
opportunities.
Small business. As much as we bought the dresses out of Big Train.
Yeah,
I mean,
Big
like
Chain.
now we're giving the small business a little
And
bit
I got
more.
off easy. In total for both those dresses, I think it was like $300.
Yeah, it was super cheap.
When we say that these are like simple, super discounted, yeah.
You don't have to spend. My dress was beautiful. I bought it on sale. It was $100 on the sale rack. And the reason it was so discounted is fully beaded, full length, gorgeous dress. And the reason it was so discounted is, one, it was 20 years ago, and two, it was missing some beading, and I just fixed the beading on it. Yeah, so it was nothing. So there are amazing deals, and I don't think people should feel weird about buying a used wedding dress because somebody like me that didn't have kids, what am I going to do with my beautiful
And Miranda
wedding
actually
dress?
tried on
She did
Elle's
try
dress,
on mine.
but Elle's skinnier than my daughter is at this stage. So it showed
Not
her,
anymore.
Yeah, it showed a little paunch, and it for the outdoors and her having to walk through a field with, like, she's probably gonna be wearing sandals, and
Right.
it wasn't it probably wouldn't have worked for that, but
It's not really. It's a beautiful dress. It wasn't exactly Miranda's style.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was close, but no cigar. But yeah, so I think if you want to make some money on your dress and your children are already married, or if you want to, like, why hold on to these things? I mean, I think there's.
I had mine preserved, 80s in the box with the veil. It came out, it looked perfect.
It is.
The lace is all intact. I mean, it almost embarrassingly, as we show it off, you're like, yeah, well, that was the style. That was what we were all wearing.
Yeah.
And mine is like cream, which wasn't Miranda's cup of tea per se. So, well, we'll see what Sheila recommends. It may be we
It'll be good
scrap
for
the
the
whole
party
project.
dress, or
Yeah, but I would love to have a piece of that there, and just for the overall vibe.
If nothing else, you should have her make like a little.
Little kerchief out of it.
Yeah, like a hanky, so that
Yeah.
she has something old.
Well, I think right now, so we were talking about that recently. She's like, what are you talking about? Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and a sixpence in your shoe. Mm-hmm. And so the something old, she has several options. So she's going to be wearing Grandma McMahon's pearls.
Oh, that's right.
So that can either be the borrowed, because I'm not giving those up yet, or that can be the old. My mom is willing to lend her sapphire bracelet. So there's her blue and or old or borrowed. And then the new people always use is it your dress or something like that. So we'll figure that out. And then I was going to have one of my counterparts in Ireland send a coin over.
Oh,
so,
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but wedding is 4 months from tomorrow.
I don't have anything to wear yet. I got
yeah.
four weddings, 3 weddings this summer. I have nothing to wear.
I've ordered a couple things online that are coming, and I'm hopefully going to try them. I got to get that one dress at White House.
Oh, she
and
got a great dress at White House.
Going out, I was going to wear one of the pieces of that dress, the little jacket.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Nice.
To kind of dress up my
You're black.
my Laura.
You're black on black.
Laura Petrie look here.
I was going to say you're looking a little like Johnny Ash Cash over here. Janie Cash.
But yeah, we're getting into the hot and heavy with the wedding planning, and I know I'm gonna have to step up my involvement here in the coming weeks, because 4 months sounds scary close.
It creeps up on you. I can't believe it's almost the end of February already.
Yeah, 1/6 of the year is gone. For those keeping track, taxes are due in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's another thing I gotta do. Good times.
Yes.
So the theme for today is keeping our minds sharp. So I think this really applies not only to people of a certain age, but just in general.
Everyone.
Keeping your minds challenged. You got work when you're, younger.
If you're still working.
If you're still working. But there's just parts of your mind that can go a little unused in the usual. So we wanted to talk today about things that we do to challenge our minds that also are fun. It's not homework per se.
Right.
So one of our favorite things that I guess I've only started doing it, about 2 years ago?
2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, our escape rooms. If you had told me 3 years ago escape rooms, I kind of was like, what?
People
Doing
used
what?
I had friends that do these all over the world, and I was like, what's an escape room? No idea.
Yeah.
Don't care. Doesn't sound interesting. Whatever. Thought they sounded really stupid, really, the first time I ever heard of them.
Yeah, got introduced to it when we were invited to one with a large group of people. It was right after my daughter got engaged, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go with the flow. And it was super fun, and it was super fun despite it being too many people. Because one thing we have learned about escape rooms is you really, 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 unless it's a specifically delineated room like the one on the cruise ship was, you don't want to have more than 6. 4 is optimal. 5 is doable. 6 gets a little, there'll be a little too much standing around. Above that,
way too many people.
Way too many people.
Yeah.
And
I really prefer it just being the 4 of us is really
4
fun.
works best.
Yeah. And now we've done enough of them. How many have we done now?
We should tally it up. We got to be over 20.
I think so too. And we do it with our husbands, so it's the 4 of us, and it's
Once a
good
month?
because we all have about once a month. We all have kind of strengths and weaknesses, and it's good. We sort of divide and conquer whenever we get into a room, and okay, what's 2 of us are going to work on this, and 2 of us are going to work on that, and just makes you aware of your environment. That's part of the thing about these escape rooms is like what's in the room, what's around you, paying attention to that. And then, the puzzles, there's puzzles involved. And
I guess we probably should talk about what is an escape room.
What is an escape room,
so
if you don't know?
The general premise is that there's all different versions, but in general, they're about an hour long, and they may be one room, they may be multiple versions of room, but you go in there with your group, and you have to
lock you in.
They lock you.
Well,
you always have a way out.
You have an escape out.
For fire purposes.
Yeah.
But they basically give you an overall premise, like whether it's a spy premise or it's a some other theme that they've done, medical. We had the
Aladdin's lamp,
Tutankhamun, all these different themes, and then they give you puzzles that some are linear, some are side by side, and you ultimately have to get to the finale, which is solving the thing that lets you out of the room, whether it's a final code, getting a final key, etc.
And it's a lot of locks and padlocks with keys, and then number locks and codes and things like that you need to punch into things, and so
often poorly lit.
Yeah, horribly lit. This is the only challenge we have with escape rooms is they do not account for the fact that people our age can't see shit at night, or without glasses and readers and things like that.
We often bring our own little pen lights, and then they're like, you can't use those. And we're like, just try to stop us, man.
Yeah, I cannot see. I have very, very poor low light vision, and I can't see.
Even if you don't, I don't have very poor low light vision. But these little dials are small, and sometimes the lines are worn off.
And
you have to sit there and
sometimes the silver reflective numbers you can't see at all.
Our favorites are when the things have a key.
Yes, we do like the keys.
Love the key. But escape rooms, we've tried a lot of different companies. There are national companies that do this. Clever Fox, Red Door. I mean, in your area, there could be a whole bunch of others. If you want to find out what escape rooms are in your area, there's actually a really good app called Morty, Morty. Again, we don't endorse it. We recently found out about it ourselves, and it shows you all the different escape rooms, whether they're the micro ones, i.e. it's not a big name company. They do 1 or 2 of their own, or it's a national chain of escape rooms. They generally charge per person, and so they're private. Pre-COVID, escape rooms used to group strangers together. I would have hated that.
I would have hated that.
So this is it's a private room, and they just charge you per person. So if you come with 4 people, they're between $30 and $40 for the hour. So
I thought we did one that was $50.
That might have been the one on the cruise. They charge it.
No. I thought we did one.
A lot of local things have promotions. Like at Christmas, we bought the gift cards at 20% off, or Groupon has
coupons.
So you can get them down to about $20 per person. Sounds kind of spendy, and it can be, but
if you think about an hour's worth of entertainment for $30, that's not bad. It can be
way cheaper than a concert,
right? And very fun. I mean, we've really enjoyed them, and then we usually go out for a drink or meal afterwards and
talk
discuss what we could have done better.
Clues in the rooms. That's the other thing. So you can tell them at the front end of it how much help you want, and like what are your signals for saying, okay, help us out. So in the beginning, we used to take a lot of help. Our right now we're down to maybe 1, if none.
Yeah. They're usually surprised by how little help we get in these things. We did do one. It would have been good to do around Halloween, but we didn't.
Yes.
It would actually we've done 2 with live actors in it. One where the guy was just in the room tapping on the wall. He was just hunched over on the wall.
Didn't move.
And didn't move, but he would tap once for yes and 2 for no. And that was okay, but it was kind of pointless. And like, it would have been just as fine to have him saying that over the speaker. This one that we did, they actually made us sign a waiver saying
no one under 16 could do it. Right. And they gave you a safe word. And at first we thought, oh, that's just part of the theming. Oh, no.
I screamed out loud.
It was not.
I'm not too proud to say it.
Our husbands were freaked out at it. It was the theme of this one was kind of a cabin in the woods type thing, and a mass murderer had murdered a bunch of your friends, and your friends had gone missing, so you were trying to find
we were held captive and with a bag over our head,
handcuffed to a wall.
Yes, handcuffed. We were all handcuffed separately, and they actually brought the boys into another room, into a bathroom, and then we were in one room, and we had to find on our side the key to get them out, which was horrible. And then the guy over the loudspeakers saying, wait, he's coming, he's coming.
One friend who hasn't been killed yet, and so he's giving you kind of the clues when the guy is coming, and he would come storming in the room. You'd have to quick
throwing
run to
things
your place,
around,
put your hood back on, re-handcuff yourself, and at one point, well, I don't want to give away too much of this, but you wind up getting separated again.
Right.
It was seriously a heart
very, very scary
palpitation.
And this actor guy, the guy that ran the thing, was fabulous. I mean, he has a mask on, so you have no idea what he's got, like the scary mask, and you can't really see it anyway because we had a bags over our heads. But he's breathing right in our face with like this, just awful.
So not everyone would love a live action one.
It was scary.
I wouldn't love it every single time, but this one, it added adrenaline rush that you normally don't get with the room because they had the live actor, and I know those aren't as common. That was our second one that had a live actor,
but
live actor.
Very fun, and
some of them are themed so phenomenally well. Others focus more on the puzzles.
Puzzles. We had one that was no theme or very little theme, all puzzles. Was horrible.
Yes,
I mean, it was really, we barely did anything. We hardly got out of the room. It was, and it was one room.
It was like an office building.
It was like an office building. Yeah. And then we've had some that are multiple rooms and everything. It's like,
fountains would move when you figured out a clue.
Oh, gosh. And just super amazing.
Yeah. Really neat props.
Like, what a fun job to design these things. I think that would be a really fun thing to do.
So that's something that
escape rooms.
We like how it takes us to another level with our thinking. We're starting now, having gone through enough of them, that we're seeing sort of repeat concepts, but there's always some little different twist to it, and then we kick ourselves and we're like,
we should have known that.
It was a magnet.
Yes.
That clue was something like that. But love the escape rooms. Glad that is part of our repertoire. Highly recommend you try at least one, but do it with a small group of people.
Right. It might not be your cup of tea, but and give yourself maybe a couple of them, because I don't know that we did very good on the first one.
First one we ever did, was that the Aladdin one?
Oh, I thought it was
Aladdin.
I thought it was the one that we failed and the boys wouldn't let us.
No, that was later. We did Aladdin first.
Okay.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, the Aladdin one probably was the first one.
Agree as a group on what level of help you're going to get and at when, because if you get a couple obstinate engineers on your team and they refuse to take help, you wind up like wasting time over
we sat around for half an hour doing nothing
because they refused to take the one simple clue. They were nowhere on the path to getting this.
Right. So
we wound up redoing that room just to spite the boys.
Okay. So we love those.
Now, another thing that we do a lot is we try to every Friday, sometimes Saturdays, get together and just play board games or cards. Yep. As simple as that sounds, they don't have to be overly complicated. Our favorite card game that we play regularly is Hearts,
which
we grew up in the Midwest.
Playing. Yeah, I grew up playing. Now, in my family, because there's so many of us, we would play with like 2 decks, and there'd be 2 queens. And if you don't know Hearts, then look it up. It's a fun game. Yeah. But it can be played.
It's a national treasure.
It can be played with many people. It can be played with 4. I think 4 is the minimum.
I think maybe you can play with 3. Yeah, you have a blind. But we have a friend. So there's different variations of Hearts, but the pure variation does not have the Jack of Hearts giving you negative points.
Which I hate that.
And there's some people who play with that version. I recently went to...
I thought it was the Jack of Diamonds.
Sorry, it is Jack of Diamonds. See, that's how little I was...
We hate that version. Anyway, we never play that way, but we have a friend that loves it.
We recently got roped into playing that version, and it changes the game. So you either love it or you don't. So those of you learning Hearts, highly recommend you learn it without the Jack, just because it does change the game.
Yes.
So, and then we love various board games, and we have a couple tried and true ones.
Another family game that my family has played forever is Rummikub.
Rummikub.
I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's basically like gin but little tiles. And it's done. You're kind of playing. Everybody's playing off the same tiles on the floor, and you're making runs.
Now that's a 4-person game.
That is definitely a 4-person game.
A lot of games are definitely set up for
if you have 2
people.
sets, you can play with 6 or more, but you have to have 2 sets because there's only 4 little. There's only enough tiles really to play with 4.
So that's one we're almost on all of our game nights. There's some round. It's actually the boys. One of the boys' favorite games.
Yes,
the biggest bone of contention with us, and what we'd highly recommend if you play Rummikub. Set a set amount of time for each turn. Have a little sand time or whatever, because that'll be, with given an infinite amount of time, of course you're going to be able to solve it. Part of Rummikub should be how quick can you think.
Right.
And the boys just hate it when we're like, okay, you're out of time.
It's the same thing with Hearts or really any game. We call my husband the Ponderer because he ponders round and round and round and round. If you know the Wanderer song, that's what I'm singing. Anyway, the Ponderer, somebody that just sits there and thinks about things way too long. That's what
Rummikub is a game. The more time you have, you probably are going to get to the solution. Part of the challenge to your mind is how quickly can you get to that solution.
Right.
Have
a timer.
Have a 30-second timer with you,
or a minute.
It doesn't come
whatever.
with it.
Yeah.
Another one of our favorites is a nice, easy travel game. Is this one called Quicks?
And Quicks is actually a what do they call that?
It's a Mensa.
It's a Mensa game. And it is. It can be very challenging on your brain. And I think we've all won it equally or not. So I think it's one of those that's like, it's not slated towards any particular person or even age group.
It's only a minor amount of luck. I mean, you're rolling dice, but everyone actions off the same dice, and it's a bit of strategy.
We really like that one because there's not a lot of sitting around. Most games you're sitting around waiting for somebody else to play. This one you're all kind of playing throughout at the same time. Some Quicks is a great one. QWIXX.
Yeah, and very easy to travel with because all you really need is the dice
and the little cards
and the little scorecards to do it.
Travel
games. Farkle. Now that's another one that's been around forever and ever. We always finish our nights playing Farkle.
We always say let's Farkle it out. Are we going to Farkle it out?
And we play our game nights just to give us some skin in the game. We have played for lottery tickets with the agreement that we'll split any big winnings, but it's part of the pride. Who was the big winner for the night? But Farkle is always a game we close with. Again, that one you could say is a lot of luck, a little bit of skill. But what we found particularly interesting is we've been playing games regularly now for 4 or 5 years.
Since COVID, pretty much.
Practice pretty much weekly. We're very quick with stuff. So something as simple as you roll the 6 dice and calculating your score. Well, we had a game night not too long ago where we invited people who don't play as often as us, and just watching how much slower and the deliberate they have to be in their scoring, we realize it has
increased our brain power.
Our mental acuity with both Quicks and Farkle was very evident when we played with people who don't regularly.
So these are not dumb people. These are smart people, but it's just a different way of using your brain.
But we felt great.
We did.
It makes me superior.
Makes me feel very smart, which is very rare in my case.
They'd be like, how do you know that that's the score of that already? Because we Farkle, I guess we're right.
I'm surrounded by 2 engineers and a woman that graduated both high school and college in 3 years. So, I don't always feel like the sharpest tool in the shed. And it's nice.
Different strengths, man.
Yes, it's nice to sometimes feel.
I don't have an artistic bone in my body.
Well, that's okay. It's nice to feel a little smarter sometimes. And when I win at any given game, especially Quicks, I feel like that's it's a Mensa game, for God's sakes. Yes. I should get some credit for that.
Yeah, and another one that's, I believe, is also a Mensa one, if you can believe it or not, is a new one we recently got, was called Abduction, and it's spelled.
I believe that is a Mensa,
Yeah,
because
so
that is a really tricky.
The Abduction is spelled D-U-C-K because it involves ducks.
Ducks, these little plastic ducks.
It's a very high quality made game by like an independent game maker, but it's taken off, and it involves getting ducks to get in certain formations.
Right.
Again, won't go into the great deal. Really, really fun. Can
That one,
run the gamut of, you can do kids, you can do adults.
I struggle with that one because
A lot of
sometimes,
waiting around.
well, no. Sometimes on Friday nights after a long week and a bad pain week,
You're spent.
my brain just does not function that well, and so I tend to not want to use my brain, and I know I should, and this is what this whole episode is about, is kind of using your brain. That one requires a lot of brain power, and
It does.
I don't always want to use my brain on a Friday night.
I would say the biggest negative to that is you're sitting around while the other person is doing it, and it's not like you can try to solve for yourself because the board is about to change. Things are about to change because of the actions they're doing. So it's not like you could be preparing your moves or whatever. So it really is. It's a good one to have a nice cocktail, some snacks on the side,
Right.
and such. But it does that works a whole nother level of your
It really
your
is,
brain.
yeah.
Abduction is,
And
is fun.
my favorite game that we've introduced into our group is Mahjong. And now there are a gazillion versions of
geez.
Mahjong. There's Chinese Mahjong, there's
Hong
Kong Mahjong, and American Mahjong, all these different types of Mahjong. And there's even like basic slap Mahjong versus scoring Mahjong, which we have graduated from basic slap Mahjong to scoring Mahjong. And it's funny, I guess I had forgotten how hard it was to learn, because I had bought the set of this for my cousin and her family, and I recently visited them, and they hadn't opened it. They hadn't opened the package since I bought it for them. I think 2 Christmases ago I bought this for them. And they just couldn't figure it out, or they just didn't want to. And it's a little complicated to learn, but once you learn it, but I was trying to teach them even basic slap Mahjong, and it was really hard to teach.
The tricky part is, so if you haven't seen Mahjong, highly recommend you Google it, and we'll put some pictures of stuff on our Instagram. But it's an elegant game. The tiles in Mahjong, I mean, yeah, you can buy the game sets from your Wally World or whatever, but Mahjong tiles are works of art.
They're beautiful.
Absolute works of art. So I started off with kind of your basic Amazon set, and my husband.
I assume the original were made out of ivory, because they're all white.
probably.
They probably were made out of ivory, as horrible as that is. And I'm sure they were ivory and jade,
others,
I don't know.
Nice colors. So yeah, for Christmas last year, my husband bought me a nice set, and just we feel them tactilely. And you're doing the shuffling of the tiles. They're fun to manhandle.
The interesting thing about the set that she bought versus the old version, it's all in Chinese. Our cheater set, our first set,
has the numbers on them.
So you can, a one of, cracks and a one of bams and all of that. These do not have the numbers. So we had to learn the Chinese characters, which is good.
And each time we're like, okay, refresh me. Okay, the X, that's this number. Okay, the running man, that's a 5.
That's a 6.
The
running man is 6.
I think running man.
No, 5 is the
jumbly. See, right there. So we always have to do a quick refresh.
7 is X.
And originally I thought, well, maybe do I put some cheaters? Like, no, that's
9
part
looks
of
like pi. So you had to come up with these these little
north wind, south wind, east wind are all literally the S, the E.
White man walking, or the guy that's walking is east wind,
is
and
east
the guy
wind.
the one that looks like a
crawfish
is south. Yeah, there's just all these little things. But the game itself is challenging. There are so many different ways to play, and we could get way more detailed than we could. We could timer it more. If you watch little Chinese ladies play this game, they are slamming tiles down super fast. And we, like I said, I have the ponderer among us, and we go at a much slower pace.
Watch Crazy Rich Asians. They have a Mahjong scene in there.
That's right.
That is pretty much the epitome of people who play Mahjong. I went on a cruise not too long ago that had actual Mahjong tables, and I was so excited to go on it because I'm like, oh, we're going to get to do this. Oh, no. The people who were expert, all I could do was watch. As I was just in awe. There was no way, because they literally play with the 3-second rule,
right?
Which is part of what makes it so challenging. Is you have to think on your feet to decide which tile you're discarding and what have you. And the more you ponder it, it's
The more time you have again,
it's not a game. The game
it's a bit
is
like
skill.
Rummikub, where if you had all the time in the world, sure, you can really think and look around at all the tiles on the thing, and yeah, it's a totally different game when you
Highly
speed it up.
recommend it if you got some time. We had some time during COVID. So many versions of it. American Mahjong, completely different. Same tiles, with some additional ones added in, like jokers and stuff, but basic same set. Very, very, very different game. And people take it serious. There's a national card that's published every year, and they memorize it, and it's nuts. But yeah, Mahjong, elegant and fun, but not something you're going to learn overnight.
Right. And your family plays Scrabble, has been playing
Yes,
Scrabble.
we introduced Scrabble, about 25 years ago. I worked for a company that used to raffle off the items that were seized from credit card fraud, and they would raffle it off for
I didn't know how that's how you got that.
for charity. So I entered the raffle at work because, again, for charity. And one of the things in the raffle was that Scrabble set.
It's an amazing.
It's the
set.
Franklin Mint Scrabble set. So the
tiles are gold.
The tiles are
not real gold, but they're plated gold.
And the board is wood, and you can still see.
It's a beautiful set.
It is. So because we grew up playing Scrabble, my dad being an English teacher, so I've had the set for years. I hand colored in the gold tiles because they were kind of hard to read when they're just gold, and made them black. But we've left it out on our game table, and we've been, rather than sitting in front of the boob tube too much, grab a game of Scrabble. I fancy myself a pretty good Scrabble player. I'm used to playing 1v1, which is a very, very different game than when you play with four.
Yeah, if you play like Scrabble with friends or Words with Friends, that's essentially Scrabble. I was doing that a lot, and then I tried to play real Scrabble with these guys, and the problem is when you play Words with Friends, you can cheat and put in words that are like, is this a word? Is this a word? Is this a word? You can't do that when you're playing in real life. Or
someone challenges
IRL,
you,
as they say. But like I was hopeless with the real Scrabble.
She won.
Well, we won the first time, but yeah, I don't know. The last time I felt stupid.
Again,
I was having a bad stupid night.
Playing Scrabble. It doesn't take long to play around a Scrabble, and it does. It challenges another part of your brain there.
Right.
Our last game we played, it was three of us, and my son came up with a great double connecting word, adding an S on top of pawn became spawn, and then he built jaws off of it. He wound up beating me with a 40-pointer.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
That was pretty humbling there, but enjoying the Scrabble.
And it's nice to find games like Words with Friends is a Scrabble version online on your phone. You play it on your phone. In addition, on your phone they have Crosswords with Friends, which is, I found a little simplistic. I'm still looking to try to find a crossword app that I like. I haven't really found one. But one we both like is the New York Times Connections. If you have never done that, it has how many words?
So it gives you the 16 words on a piece of paper, and you have to find the
on
four
the app, not a piece of paper.
On the grid.
Okay, Gen Xer.
Yeah. On the grid, and there are four groups. So you've got to group them like, these are all things that can be found in a whatever. These are all names. One of them was these are all mahjong tiles, and
I kind of look at it as
together.
like $20,000 pyramid.
Oh,
Do you remember that game growing up when
things you'd find at a post office?
Yes, things that make you laugh, whatever. And it's you have to bundle these words. And sometimes I do this. I always tell her I can't do it in the morning because my brain just isn't working. What I've realized now is my brain doesn't work a lot. Because sometimes I'm brilliant and I can get it
look at
super
it and
fast.
You immediately see the four.
Yeah.
And other times you're like, are you
I don't
kidding
even
me?
see one.
And it has like my daughter plays it a lot. Some of it is generational. Like she didn't know the term for something. And it's like, okay, it makes sense. A lot
Like
of
a
cases
dandy.
for us,
I don't think she knew what a dandy was or something like
the
that.
reference like that.
Yeah.
But it's a fun one, and it makes you just think differently, which is what I love about games is in any given day, you're kind of doing a lot of rote things.
Right.
And your mind falls into the, this is the rote thing I'm doing. That shakes it up. The board games and such that we talk about, escape rooms, it it alters your perception of things, and that is just so healthy. Not only for us being in our 50s, but I would argue for anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's been proven. It's use it or lose it.
Yeah. And I like Sudoku I have on my phone, things like that, but also like puzzles. And some people like puzzles. I'm not a huge puzzle person. I recently did a diamond painting, which I thought was like the weirdest thing ever. My sister's husband does them. And it was kind of like paint by numbers meets blinging. Yeah. If you know what blinging, like these little crystals and
the bedazzler.
The bedazzling. But
Ronco.
I enjoyed it. It's a little hard on my back, but I actually really enjoyed it. It was very soothing. So it is something that you use your brain, but not as much. So it'd be less, kind of like puzzles. I imagine like doing jigsaw puzzles. You're using your brain, but not as much as you are when you're doing math, like Sudoku,
spatial versus mental,
which are all good things. They're all good things to keep your brain moving and that sort of thing. I've been trying to learn how to play the mandolin, and I recently inherited my mother's dulcimer, mountain dulcimer. No idea how to play either one of them. Got to get on that. That's my retirement side hustle. I'm going to be
ask, what are you going to do when you retire?
I'm going to be a busker, and I'm going to learn how to play that instrument and go sit on the side of the street and play an instrument.
And my recent thing was I decided I took many years of Spanish, and I used to be fluent, but I didn't practice it. So I signed up for Duolingo with friends, and I did the family plan. So then I added several people, my kids and Elle, and we're all doing Duolingo.
Well, I actually had a Duolingo account because my cousin has been studying French for years now, and she's quite fluent or quite good at it. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun for her and I to be able to speak French? And I lost interest after about a month of it. My problem is I took both Spanish and French in high school, and I interchanged them both at all times. So,
so rather than Spanglish, you've got Franglish,
yes. I speak a little Franglish. I also went to Indonesia for a month, and I learned quite a bit of Indonesian while I was there. And so I also have those in my head. And we went to Germany, and I tried to learn German before I went. So I'm not good with languages, period. I'm barely good at English, in case you didn't notice. So it's really hard for me. Languages I've always struggled with. But that is another good thing to keep your mind active, to do those things. Yeah. The Duolingo app is great.
It's fabulous. I tried the Babbel one, and I just didn't engage me as much. I also tried, there was another one.
My only argument with Duolingo is, when am I ever going to need to say the cat ate the pizza? Is my but it has the weirdest sentences putting together. The cat ate the pizza. Like, why would I ever say that in conversation? I would like a little more appropriate saylittle sayings.
It treats it like a game. So it's like when I'm waiting in line somewhere or whatever. Yeah, open up Duolingo. They kind of give you little motivations for streaks and whatever. So there's a free version. The free version is perfectly fine.
Yes.
You just wind up having to watch an ad here or there. So recommend you do that.
All right.
So what's our drink of the show, Elle?
Our drink of the show is, I gotta take my glasses off, Harry Potter and the Gimlet of Fire. Oh, this is a good one. This cheeky recipe is also taken from the book of Gone with the Gin, which are those great books that Dylan has that are Tequila Mockingbird, Are You There, God, It's Me, Margarita, the Shakespeare Not Stirred. And they are just wonderful. This cocktail is made with 2 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of lime juice, half an ounce of simple syrup. Combine them into a glass. Light a cinnamon stick on fire and blow it out. Wave it over the glass like a spell and drop the stick in the glass. So that's very cool.
It's like a cinnamon infused drink. Simple recipe.
You can even get your kids involved with this one. How fun is that?
Definitely a fun one. And then our soup of the show, one of my absolute favorite soups, is a good creamy chicken noodle. And the recipe that you'll see on our gram. What's a little bit unique about this one is that it incorporates cream cheese as well for part of the cream.
You can never have too much cheese.
You never have too much cheese.
That's
and
power
so
of
in
cheese
addition to
compels us.
have a half and half and such, add some cream cheese in there, and it gives it just a little bit of zing. And this the recipe out there in under 40 minutes from making to eating. So that's my
a
kind
good
of
one.
recipe.
And our book recommendation is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I love Colleen Hoover. I've loved everything I think I've read everything she's written.
Her most famous are Begins With Us, Ends With Us. They're being turned into the movie with
I thought
Blake
this one
Lively.
might be turning. Do you think Verity is?
I
Verity
would
being
love
turned?
to see
This would be a
Verity turned
great
into it.
movie. I hope it's being turned into.
But
a
I know
movie.
the first ones that are already been filmed and I think being released this year are the ones with Blake Lively.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we highly recommend that one. Okay, songs that are living rent-free in my head. So while I was with my family a week ago, we have a lot of sayings in our family, like, don't judge me. Just don't judge me, because we have a very judgy family. And so the song by Julie Michaels, Issues, which has the you don't judge me, because if you did, then I'd judge you too, or something like that. And so my sister was singing that the whole time, and I had that stuck in my head so bad. I had to actually download it onto my feed so that I could listen to all the words and learn them, because I only know like that line from the song, and I kept singing that same line over and over.
And the one that arbitrarily has been floating in my mind, which is actually quite applicable to our Keeping Our Minds Sharp theme, is Gordon Lightfoot, If You Could Read My Mind. And it's just, if you haven't heard that song in a long time, he's very much into like ballad songs, right? Which I love.
He did he do
Edmund Fitzgerald,
which is a
one.
Beautiful song.
But he's got a great voice and just really, really touching lines in his songs that listen to it again and you can't help but time travel back to when you first heard the song, and it's a great one to have cycling around in there.
Yep. That's much better than You Don't Judge Me.
It's all relative, because there's a song for just about everything.
There is a song for everything. And this is one of the things that brought Dylan and I together, was that we finish each other's song sentences, you know. So, anyway.
Well, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Elle. And
we both love soup. Bye-bye.